All right, man, let's do this.
Hello, hello.
What's up, Bobo? All right, so we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Ascending the Ranks, the first episode of our new show, sponsored by RDG Gaming. And with me today, we have our first guest, RDG Bobo. Bobo is a high master Zerg who is very, very smart and amazing at this game. So it is awesome to have him on today, and we're going to go over 10 games that people sent in to us in the past week.
Cool. Thank you for having me, Mark.
It's awesome.
Pleasure
man.
to be on here and to help newer players get better.
Exactly, man. That's the whole point of this. So why don't we open up our first game? Why don't we do Ohana Ellie 2? That's the name of the game it's titled as. So why don't you pop that open and tell me when you have it all set to go. What's up, everybody in chat? How's it going?
Is it between Sir Lose-A-Lot and LT Thunar?
Yes.
Alright. Cool. And I have the chat open as well, so.
Alright, perfect. Alright, chat, feel free to ask anything if you don't understand. Bobo and I would be happy to answer anything you have to ask. I'm a Terran, and like I said before, Bobo is a Zerg, so we should be able to cover most of anything you guys have to ask. Alright, so we're going to go through this on ×2, and wherever you feel the need to pause, just tell me and we can all pause, because there's going to be things where it's going to take time to show everybody how the game is going on and take time to explain what we want to point out. So if you ever feel the need to pause, just tell me, alright?
Alright.
Alright, so we're going to go through on ×2. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1, start.
Okay. And who are we helping in this game? The Zerg or the
The Terran player, I believe. So it's LT Thunar in the top left and our Zerg player in the bottom right. So, but what can you tell me about TVZ right now in this point in StarCraft 2?
Right now, it seems more of like a Terran player really needs to do some sort of damage, or not do so much damage, but make a build that can help him establish his third base. Because once a Terran gets on 3 bases, he can be able to double upgrade, double engineering bay, go up to 5 or 6 factories if he's planning to mech. Pretty much a Terran on 3 bases is very good to set up for a late game. So if you're looking to just establish yourself and take the game to the later stages, definitely making a build like a Hellion Banshee build is specifically designed to get the Zerg player to get map control to allow you to get your third base up.
Okay, well, it looks like our Terran player is going for a double gas on 14. This is a super weird build, and I think that's a big deal in the lower leagues where a lot of players don't seem to know what they're doing. They don't copy any builds. So the build that is the go-to TVZ build right now is the Hellion Cloak Banshee opener. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but overall that is the most commonly used build right now. So for the lower league players, I would find a pro build. It doesn't have to be Cloak Banshees, but that appears to be what everyone is going nowadays. But find a pro build and copy it, because if you're going to do your own build, it's not going to be as well timed out, and your overall gameplay is going to hurt.
Exactly, especially at the lower leagues. What you want to do is copy a professional player's build, and as you get better, you're going to be making your own adjustments to it, and it's basically going to end up being your own build as you get better. Then the lower leagues, if you want to get better, you definitely copy the pros.
Alright, so it looks like we're going to go for some Hellion reactors for our Terran player. Good opening, but it is kind of weird how he's doing it. But he's got the general idea. But like we've been saying, please, to all the lower league players, find a build, and eventually, as you play more and more with that build, you'll be able to change it a little bit, and it almost becomes your build. It's not a build you're copying, but as you play and as the build times out, you'll learn how to play the game, and that's how you improve in this game.
So he is actually going for Blue Flame.
Okay, so it is this common opener. We actually saw this last night from MVP, so good opener, but I'm not sure how much it's going to do with the Queens and Spine Crawlers. With this build, you have to build a lot of Hellions, and that is what he's doing. And the only good thing here from our Zerg player is that he hasn't taken a third, and he doesn't have speed yet. It's a super late speed, so this might work for our Terran player. But overall, the Terran needs to do a better job, I think, of scouting and finding out what our Zerg player is doing, because I think he's kind of assuming that his attack is going to work.
Yeah. And can I pause real quick?
Sure, go for it. What's up?
All right. So what I want to mention to the Terran player is that what the build that you're doing right now, it's really all-in-ish, because
Yeah.
you have, let's see here, we have 12 Hellions, and we're about to have 14. Yeah, we're about to have 14 Hellions. That's 1,400 minerals that you have invested in Hellions, and if just by chance, if this Zerg player had 3 queens and 6 or 7 roaches, that's 1,100 minerals that was just gone, right? Because you can't really do anything with it. So what I would suggest is, like you said, drop a scan. I want to say like around the 8:30 mark.
Yep, that sounds
I want to
better.
take a Hellion to build. Takes 30 seconds. Yeah, so I would say like around 8:30. That is, you'll have about 6 or 7 Hellions at the time. And if you drop a scan at the natural ramp at your opponent, see if you spot any roaches. Try and see how many queens he has. If he doesn't have a lot, continue that Hellion production, and you'll do a lot of damage. If you see roaches, stop Hellion production, and you could start those siege tanks a little bit earlier, just to be wary of any counter attack. And also another variation to this build is, instead of dropping that third factory, I've seen a lot of Terrans drop a third CC,
Yeah.
because those Hellions, they give you map control. He can't do anything unless he does a roach counterattack, but he can't do anything until he has Midas out or Infestors. So if you drop a third CC, you should have it in up in time, and you'll have siege tanks to defend against any counterattack. That's what I have to say.
So why don't you count down when we need to unpause, Bobo?
I'm at 9:29.
Okay, so go for it.
3, 2, 1.
Go. Okay, so I just want to keep going where what the point Bobo was doing was that this build, this mass Hellion build, works very well if the Zerg is taking a third, because you can go and poke into the third, poke into the expansion, but if he's only taking 2 base, you're not going to kill a lot. And your whole point with this is you need to do some sort of economic damage, and if you don't, you're going to be behind, as well as the fact that your third is super late. So I would rather see you go up to 1 factory, Cloak Banshee, and then take a third, and then add on your second and third factories, because then your third's going to be up super late if you don't, as well as the fact that your armory, normally how you do this build is you go up to Cloak Banshees, take a third, you add on 2 armories, and right now his third is super late, he's only got 1 armory, so everything is going to be a little bit delayed. His economy is going to be worse, and his overall timings are going to be not as good. So it's a good build, it's a good idea, but it needs to be perfected, I would say.
Yeah.
And
one thing, can I pause again?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So another thing I want to mention to the Terran player is that you could have, you haven't scouted his third base yet, and looking at your vision, there's no scouting at the third base. Normally, if you go for a relatively quick command center, or in your case, you went for Reactor Hellion first. His third expansion should come out about 7 minutes. That's when his third expansion should go down. If you're going for a 1 Rax into a CC first, his expansion should go down around 6 minutes. So if you don't see that, there's no reason for you to attack, because 2 base Terran against a 2 base Zerg, you're gonna win.
Exactly.
Zerg player needs to always be 1 base ahead of you. So you just attack into that ramp, and yeah, that kind of just lost your army, and you shouldn't have attacked there. Just what I wanted to say.
Yeah. All right. So why don't we unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. And kind of like you were saying, there was no need to attack up there. He didn't know he didn't have a third, but even still, you should definitely scout. The Terran had no idea what kind of tech the Zerg is going right now. So, like, he hasn't scouted the main base at all. So, a big deal in all points in this game is you need to scout. You need to find out what your opponent is doing, and especially in TVZ, if you get caught off guard, you're not sure what hive tech he's going, you're not sure what kind of tech he's going to go to transition into the mid game, you can just lose. And what you said was totally right. With no third, there's no need to attack. The Terran already had his third up, so there was no need to go out and attack. He could have just turtled back and been way ahead because this Zerg third is super, super, super late.
Exactly.
And this is a good composition. It's kind of this new style that MVP's been doing where you get a couple Thors out and then you add on the siege tanks later, so it's good, but we're going to see this giant the Zerg army fly into the main, and the Terran has no idea that this build was going down. He had no idea what tech the Zerg was going, so he's being caught completely off guard, and he's already done so much, killed all the SCVs in the main. So this attack just shows that you need to scout what your Zerg player is gonna do.
And normally when you scout, if you're the Zerg player does that muta, you should be relatively fine. That shouldn't have lost all those minerals because like Mark said, you need to scout.
Yeah, and
StarCraft is all about a game of information.
exactly. And this is a pretty scary Terran army right now, and he should be okay if he controls this well. That's not a very big Zerg army.
Yeah, the only thing though is that he doesn't have any defense at home.
Yeah,
But-
counterattacks are going to be huge here too. But it looks like he should be fine.
Yeah, don't see him losing this.
Yeah, me neither. I'm like, he sent in the game and he's like, help me, I lost, and I think he's going to win. I mean, unless by some miracle he loses it. But overall, still, this Terran player is still playing almost completely with no information, so he needs to scout more, needs to find out what the Zerg player is doing. But he is in a really good spot. Your priority as a Terran needs to be killing the Zerg third. There's no reason to attack up into his expo now. You should go to the third. Oh wow, he's actually going to lose all his Thors. Oh. Okay. So, I guess the Zerg does survive this, but... Oh, maybe? Maybe not? Oh yeah, so the Zerg does hold this off. And this again shows...
He just tanks.
Yeah. This again shows that you need to scout. The Terran player didn't see the he changed out. He changed his tech, so I mean I guess now he's still gonna win. But he played completely blind, and honestly the Zerg is pretty bad. His third was super late. So as Zerg, if you take your third this late, you're not gonna have a lot, and as shown here, a 2-base Terran is gonna beat a 2-base Zerg 10 times out of 10, so if there are any Zergs in chat, take your thirds way sooner, because if not, you're going to lose like this, pretty much.
Yep. And this game is over.
Yeah, this game's done at this point. Alright, cool. So, Bobo, any last words for this game before we go on to the other one?
Yeah. If Lunar or Thunar is watching, and then you have your little handy dandy StarCraft notebook. Main points I would say for you to improve is your build wasn't wrong. It's a pretty standard Blue Flame build, but just like any other Blue Flame build or a Cloak Banshee build, if you do it on one base, it's kind of all-inish, because if he has roaches, that's a lot of minerals and gas that you just invested for tech that you can't really do anything with. All you have is map control. So be a little bit more cautious. Don't be doing things blindly. Scout. Don't be afraid to drop a scan. A scan, yes, you'll lose 300 minerals from not mining from a mule, but you'll gain so much information and you'll know what your opponent is doing. And so scouting, and then of course, as any other lower league player, always try and keep your SCV, your worker production, always constant, never stop. Keep your you have your CC's hotkey, so that's good. So just try and mechanics, basically mechanics. Work on mechanics until like high masters ish.
Exactly.
Like,
and to add on to what you just said, Zerg is a very powerful race if they can tech switch back and forth without you having any idea. So the Terran player he won, but he shouldn't have won because the Zerg was just super bad. But if this had been a pretty okay Zerg, he would have died because he had no idea what kind of tech he was going. So like you said, scan a lot and scan often. I would rather you lose or you hurt, you don't mine as much, but you scan and you find out what you're doing. Because you would rather be behind because you didn't mine a lot than totally lose the entire game. And just again, it's mainly scouting. He didn't scout at all. He played that game almost completely without any information. So that would be my big tip for that game.
Yeah, and also with the scouting, you're able to counter whatever unit composition your opponent is going. So, for example, if you scout at about, or if you drop a scan at about 9 minutes, and you see a lair, and you see him have a spire, and you're going mech, make like 2 or 3 Thors. 2 or 3 Thors are gonna thwart any kind of Mutalisk attack.
Exactly.
And if you see roaches and infestation pit, then you research siege tanks and you start getting siege tanks out, because siege tanks counter both infestors and roaches, while you build up your army and you go and kill them. So
All right, cool. So we're done with that game. Why don't we go on to Cloud Kingdom LE 81?
Cloud Kingdom.
LE 81. It's a TVP, a long one. So why don't we load that up? And just to hit on that last point again from the last game, you need to take a third very fast. In TVZ now, it's super normal to take your third very fast because a mech army scales better way into the late game. So if you can survive the early and mid game and go in the late game and scout what the Zerg is doing, your army should be very, very hard to kill. Alright, so are you all set with this replay?
Yeah.
Alright, ×2 in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so we have our Terran player in the top right and our Protoss player in the bottom left. I believe Dinge is in chat right now, or he was for a little bit. So pay attention, man. This is your game.
So we're helping out our Terran player again.
Yep. TVP right now, it's been the most stable matchup in all of the entire game, I can say. At least that's what it seems to me, because all the builds don't change too often. It's more about how you use your army than like what kind of comp you have. So it's a very old like style. It's been TVP, hasn't really changed, but Terrans right now are having a hard time handling late game toss. So it's more about what you can do in the early and mid game to set yourself up for a powerful late game Terran army. Protoss player has a normal build here, nothing too weird. I would like the SV to scout a little sooner, but I guess this is okay. When you scout into a Protoss base, what you're going to scout for is when he takes his second gas. A gas before expansion means some kind of a 3-gate build or fast tech, or just like some weird one base, Protoss all in. And you usually want to pull your SV out around 410, or else it's going to die, like right here.
Good timings.
Yeah, pretty solid. Alright, double gas on 24, good. Alright, so Terran play, you've got your build down pretty set in the early game. You can afford to take your expansion on the low ground. You don't have to really be afraid of getting killed by anything, as long as you go Expo on the low ground and then you build your bunker and then your second and third racks. If you build your bunker after your second and third racks, you may just die to any early attack, but if you don't, you should be fine.
Standard play from both players.
Yeah, nothing too crazy going on. I would have liked the Terran player to scan at around the 5:30 mark, scan it into the toss base just to see what's going on. This game not as important since nothing super weird is going on in the toss base, but overall it's a good timing to scan just to see when your opponent took his second gas and how he's going to go from the early game into the mid game.
Now, Mark, what time does some sort of Century Immortal push or 5-gate, 6-gate push happen?
Usually around 9:45, I think. 9:45.
Okay.
Yeah, 9:45, 9:30 sounds just about right.
That was a really nice scan there.
Yeah, this
Scouted 3-gate Robo.
Research.
Right, so another scan time would be around 8 minutes just to see what kind of tech he's going. High Templars, Twilight Council, or Colossus, and if you see Double Forge, you can be almost 100% certain that you're not going to get 2 base all in, because he wouldn't want any upgrades if he's going to go for some kind of all in, because his entire army is going to be pretty small if he does. So if you see that, have no fear, you can take your third without a problem. Alright, so 5 barracks is third command center, this is fine. This Terran has got this build down pretty packed, so this is good.
Yeah. Ooh, you gotta check those watchtowers, by the way.
Yeah.
Past it. So now he knows you're coming.
Yeah. When you see a Colossus, you just turn around. You never, ever fight this Terran, this Protoss Death Ball with a Colossus. He should have died right there if the Protoss was any good with his army control. But when you see a fast Colossus out, just turn around, go home, because they may, like, their army may get smaller, but you're just gonna lose your entire army. So you would rather go home, take a third, and go and fight in the mid game, because if you fight right then and there, you might die. Right, so pretty.
A really important thing I think I want to note here from the Terran player is he doesn't know that there's a double forge out. So, and maybe one thing he could have noticed is that when you pushed out to his third, you could have maybe, I don't know if you did, I didn't check,
Yeah.
but maybe clicked on his units, and if you saw, because when you pushed out he had 1-1, if you would have saw 1-1, you would have been like, okay, that's really quick 1-1. Either he has double forge or he's just chrono boosting the heck out of his forge.
Yeah.
And if you see a double forge, you need to catch up on upgrades.
Exactly. He's actually way behind in upgrades right now, like way behind. By around this time, your 2-2 should be close to being done. Additionally, his air units, his anti-air... Yeah, he almost got cut off there. His anti-air is so small right now that the Colossus count is just going to kill him. With this many Colossus, you need around 13 in the air, or else you're just going to die. And right now, he has 10 Vikings, so I guess he might be okay. But ideally, you want your count to be a little higher than that.
Yeah, you never want to, or I don't know, maybe Mark could a little bit more or give some insight, but in my opinion, I don't think you should ever overmake Vikings. Always be cautious if he's continuing to make Colossus or if he's not.
Exactly. And he's starting to get his ghost count up. It is a little bit late. You would rather having your counts start to go up in the mid game and not so much in the late game, because if you slowly build your amount of ghosts, then they have more energy, and you can just have a higher count. But as he slowly starts to add them in the late game, they're not going to have a lot of energy. So I would rather you start your ghosts, you start to add them in your army around like the 12-minute mark, and that should be solid for a Terran player who wants to fight Protoss in the late game.
Mm-hmm. And right now is a really good time for you to abuse something that Terrans have, which is not only dropships, but the dropships that heal. So try and get try and spread out your Protoss opponent. Drop in multiple areas. You're maxed out, so you can always remake your army. 1 or 2 dropships won't hurt you too bad.
Alright, so this fight went pretty poorly because he didn't focus down the Colossus, and if you don't, they're just going to sit in the back and kill everything. Your Vikings weren't hockeyed or something, because they kind of flew over the Protoss army and then attacked, so make sure you aim move them, or else you're going to lose a fight like that. And you let Protoss get a 4th base, and while your 4th base is pretty late, at 20 minutes you already want a 4th base down, and yours is just about to be done. It's also 21, and your 3-3 upgrades are not even halfway. By this point, you should be done already. So that's the big thing in TVP is, of course, you are going to be behind in upgrades. There's nothing as a Terran that you can do, but you don't want to be super behind, or else, like this, you're just going to get hammered. And actually, our Terran player is still up in supply, but still.
Definitely drops more.
Yeah.
Spread out your opponent. You seem like a maybe Masters Diamond player, so pretty sure you have the APM to multitask.
Right, well, he's going to kill this 4th, that's good. But in this case, it may have been better to go for the 3rd, just because the 4th, he wasn't really doing anything out of it, but that's still good that you killed it. He's actually looks like he might win this game.
What did that Protoss do?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah,
Yeah,
this Protoss
so
player
mistakes
is
like
just
that are
sacking.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, as a Terran player, it's nice to see they like a Protoss die like that, but I can't believe Protoss didn't win this game. Oh, wait. He's got HTs. One High Templar Storm, and this game could just be over.
Okay, another thing I want to point out too,
Oh, good feedback.
and this goes for everybody, not just for the Terran player. You have 6 barracks on 3 bases.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't realize that. With this, you're on 3 base. You should be taking a 4th at this point, and you have 6 barracks. You should at this point have at least 10, like at least.
Yeah. Especially given you could look at your bank right now and you
Yeah,
have
his
like
bank is
you're
pretty
like
huge.
2k, 3k.
So it's taken you a long time to take your 4th. I think that was a pretty big deal, as well as obviously Psionic Storm. Your Ghost got fed back and killed, so you need to have a high Ghost count in the late game. You can't keep sacrificing them, because then you're just going to lose to High Templars. And I think that's how he's going to lose this game at this point.
Yeah.
Protoss player is not mining at all, but this is the all-in attack. And actually, our Terran player should have enough to hold this off. I'm pretty sure. Oh, damn, that was a big storm. All right. Oh my god! You have to move out of a storm. You can't eat that many psionic storms and just sit there. You have to pull your army back. And I understand that you want to fight in the concave and such, but if you eat a psionic storm like that, you're just gonna lose. So the Terran player actually had this game, but those 2 psionic storms killed everything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard as a Terran player to be like, but I won this entire game. I had my army was huge. He had to pull all his probes. I killed all his expansions, but you can still lose a game because of psionic storm. So always be aware of that, and you'd rather play cautiously, like pull back, instead of trying to fight and eat 2 huge psionic storms.
And I think another part of that too is like you said, you had a big economy, but you didn't really have the infrastructure to back it up. So you only had 6 barracks at the time. You should have been like at maybe 13, 14 barracks.
A lot of barracks.
Double starport.
So, I mean, it's still, though, if the Protoss player doesn't push out, Terran should still win this game. As a Terran, you don't attack now. The longer this game goes, the more you're probably going to win. So don't try to attack. Try to sit back and just hold on as long as you can, because this Protoss army, it is not going to get any bigger. So if you can just hold on and secure an expansion, you should be fine. Like right now, our Terran player has a lot in the bank, too.
That storm, man.
Yeah, that was... Oh my god, those 2 storms were huge. Alright, sending a little pack out is good, but you saw him pull all his probes, so there's no way he's really got anything to mine. So there's no need to pull your army out like this, because you're going to need all of it to kill the Toss army right here. Okay, you did dodge a storm, so that's good. But... Wait, how did he lose this? No. Terran won. Oh, okay, good. Shit, I thought he was going to lose. Jesus. Alright, so... That game just shows you how you can get ahead as Terran and lose because of the Sonic Storm. Like Bobo said, if you don't drop, if you don't harass, if you don't do anything like that, the Protoss is just going to get a huge army, and it's going to be pretty hard to stop. Your upgrades were very, very, very late. That is so huge. You can take one fight when they're ahead in upgrades, and you might survive. But if you just fight the whole mid and late game, when you're 2-2 and they're maxed out, you're just going to lose. And you got pretty... I mean, like, you should have lost that game. That Protoss somehow fucked that up. I'm not sure how, but... Alright, so this is good. We're going to go on to PvP Nice, I think. Alright, so why don't you load that up? I actually don't know shit about Protoss, so I really hope you do, because my PvP knowledge is not very extensive.
I will try my best. I know some, but not.
Alright,
I'm not
so Why don't you
Brilliant.
lead the countdown?
Oh, still loading.
Oh, you're still loading them. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right, go for it.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so we have a PvP on Cloud Kingdom, and I'm gonna let Bobo take the lead because I don't understand Protoss from a PvP perspective. I can understand from a TvP perspective, but not from this. So why don't you go ahead and lead this, Bobo?
All right, so who are we helping here?
I actually don't know. I think it's Rehab that we're helping. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I think it's the red Terran who we're helping. Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Or the red Toss, rather.
so
Forge
standards.
fast expand in PvP?
Yeah, it's a little bit strange.
That's weird. A normal PvP build is like a 2-gate opening, or that's like the super safe. You could go gate expo. You can even go pretty fast expos nowadays, but Forge is just kind of weird. I'm not sure why you would open like that.
Yeah, it seems like he wants to go for a really quick expansion,
But then
but
you
you
wouldn't get
can't
the
really
gateway.
do that in PvP. And even if he does this, what I would do is if I see this, I get 2 stalkers out, or I go for like for that three stalker rush.
Yeah.
Just to get 3 stalkers out really quickly. And you could kill his front right there. You could kill his gateway. You can kill his forge. You could possibly snipe that pylon.
For me, what it looks like is a combination of builds, like a Forge fast expand and then a 1-gate. And I understand that you want to take a fast expo or whatever, but if you plan to do that, then go all the way and plan your build around that. But don't combine 2 builds and kind of not take an expo, but then not have an army either.
I see what he's doing. He's playing some mind games on you.
I'm just
Look at that. Yeah, look, All right, so if we're helping Rehab, this is one of those things, and this goes for any other player. Oh, never mind. He actually dropped the Nexus now. But what it seemed like he was doing to me is that he made it seem like he was going for a Forge expand, and then getting a really quick Nexus out. But it seemed to me he was going to get 3 gateways like he is now,
Go and
and
tap.
kind of fake it.
Yeah, if you're gonna
Think he was
all
going
in,
at-
go all the way for the all in. Don't expand and then all in, and that goes for if you're trying to expand. Don't like build gateways in an early forge and then expand late. If you're gonna do the build, go all the way for it. Don't cut it off halfway. That's kind of weird, and it's gonna make your build not very strong.
Yeah, and so what happens here is there's two routes you could have taken. You could have went for some sort of 4-gate all-in, 4-gate with the robo or with the mortar push or something to break that front. Because what you know is that since he expanded so quickly, he's not gonna have the tech, and he's not gonna have the units to stop a really big push. So if you're able to break that, that puts you in a great position. And the other route you could have taken is what you're taking now, which is expand to really, or take your own quick expansion. And the only things that I'm noticing here is I would have probably liked that robo to get down a little bit quicker.
Yeah. I
Because
completely agree on that.
you want to find out what he's doing, basically. And his robo's quicker than yours, so he's gonna find out what you're doing before you are. So any kind of timing that he was trying to hit, you want to try and find out as soon as possible.
This seems kind of that same deal in our first game where a lower level player isn't doing a build from a pro toss. They're just doing their own builds and stuff like that. So like we said before, in the lower leagues and even in the higher leagues too, you will reach a point where you can make your own builds, but at this point you want to just copy a build that you find online or something like that from a pro player, because they know exactly like how their builds time out and things like that. And if you're going to do your own build like this, it's just going to be kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing too is, once again, as a new player, always guys, until you hit mid to high masters, always work on your mechanics. Always make sure you always have probes making. I know PvP is a little bit different because sometimes you want to cut probes and sometimes you don't, but those warp gates were unwarped for a good minute, 2 minutes.
Yeah. And also, how PvP works out in late game, it's a mass Colossus war, so there's less of a need for mass gateways and more of a need for your higher tech units. So the whole goal is as fast as you can, tech to Colossus, or else you're just going to lose, because in PvP, the Colossus in the late game is just so powerful that if you fall behind, then there's no way to come back from that.
Exactly.
And our blue Protoss already has 2 Colossi, and you have none. So if you're that far behind, like, he could attack you now and you would probably just die, and it looks like that's what's going to happen. They're just so strong that even if you have a huge gateway army, you're still probably gonna lose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only real way you can counter Colossus effectively is if you have enough Zealots and enough Stalkers to be able to act as a buffer, because your Immortals will rape the Colossus, but in this case, yeah, he just...
Our blue Protoss would have won
Colossus.
this game outright if his Colossus hadn't been attacking the buildings of our red Protoss. Yeah, and at this point, as we can see, the game's going to keep going, but when you've taken this much damage, you're pretty dead at this point.
Yeah. And let's see, we have 5 gateways against 4. Oh, so maybe that's why he stays alive. Because he can't actually reinforce quickly. But he does kill his robotics bay.
Yeah.
Which is actually really huge. Because the only real counter to Colossus is Immortals. Or Archons, and he doesn't have either.
Yeah. I'm not sure how
there's
this
a Robo
game
Bay in the
keeps
back.
going.
Never mind.
This game, I mean, like... This Colossus, just to show how powerful they are, has 26 kills. So,
Yeah.
mask Colossus in the late game. There's no need to ever not build them. You should always have them out in mass late game. If you look at pro PvPs, they're pretty much like mass Colossus wars in the late game. Maybe some Archons to tank, but pretty much just mass Colossus.
In the lower leagues, I would say Mass Colossus. Because it's usually what's going to make you win. Gateway units can't really do much.
Exactly.
Unless, like I said earlier, they have a buffer between the Colossus and whatever unit's trying to attack them. See how quick that Immortal just killed a Colossus. That's how good they are. But they need to reach them.
Exactly.
And so the only real way you can kill Colossus is if you have a buffer between your Immortals and your Gateway unit, which are usually your Gateway units. But once you get to the higher levels, you have to actually... You see PvPs going into like 9-10 minute one-base PvP, just because PvP is so fragile in the beginning that you can actually lose if you take any kind of greedy build and your opponent decides to attack.
Exactly, and I think what we've seen
It's
from
very fragile in the beginning.
I think what we're seeing from our red Protoss is an overemphasis on gateways and not enough into high-tech units. And even still, we're at 21, and he did take a lot of damage, but he's still pumping out gateways, and he needs to get a higher tech. And honestly, if this blue Protoss had spent his huge bank, he would have this game already in the bag.
Yeah.
But still, even at this point, the red toss is completely out of this game. There's no way he can come back and win.
Yeah, pretty much. Imagine PvP as any little advantage you can get, and you're able to capitalize on it will win you the game.
Exactly.
I recently saw a PvP between, who was it, Rain and Parting, I believe, recently, and Parting took a really relatively quick expansion against, I want to say Parting, I'm not sure, I don't remember who it was, but really quick on Ohana. And just because he was able to hold just 2 waves of attacks, that put him so far ahead, even though Parting expanded behind his attack. Just little advantages like that in the higher level of PvP, they're gonna get you huge advantages. But as long as you're in the lower levels, just try and get Colossus out as quickly as you can. And like Mark said, also in the lower levels, you always want to take ideas or builds from pro players, because they got the builds refined, they got their builds down, and when you try and make a build for yourself, it just doesn't work out the same way.
Yeah. And our red Protoss did have the correct idea here. If you're behind, you're going to need to double expand, but at this point, it's just no way you can kill that army. So pretty much this came down to One player went more gateway heavy, and the other toss went Colossus heavy. And as you guys saw, in late game PvP, you're gonna need to go. You need high tech and not mass gateway units. Yeah, and at this point, he's just gonna aim move, and this game's gonna end. Yep. Okay, so at this point, I'm just gonna shut down this game. GG from our blue Protoss.
Offensive. GG.
Offensive GG. Alright, so why don't we open the Korean game? Dinge, it appears, went on the Korean server to go get his butt kicked in Korea. Or something, because they're all Korean names. Alright, so are you all set to go? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so...
Or let me, I'm floating up.
Okay, so ×2. Tell me when you're all set.
Alright.
Alright, so why don't we start in 3, 2, 1, go. So now we have a
Dinge here
TVZ.
playing against Korean guy. I don't know how to read Korean.
So this is a high plat Zerg. So on Korea, high plat's like high diamond. If you're outside of that server, because people over there are just so damn good. Alright, so we're back to a TVZ where this should be good for us too, because you're a Zerg and I'm a Terran, so we should be able to nail this game. Zerg's probably going to go hatch first, super standard. And sync, I think Dinge is going to go a 1 Rax FE as well. Yep, hatch first from our Zerg. As a Terran, you're trying to scout for the gas timings. If he already has a pull out and his lings pop without any gas, you can pretty much assume that it's going to be a fast third with a double gas around 6.
Yep. Really standard build from both players, yeah. 1 rack CC. Okay, now timing I want to let you Terran players know and Zerg players is if your opponent goes for 1 rack CC, you usually want to take your third at about 6 minutes. And for a Terran player, if you want to add pressure to that third, you probably want to start dropping maybe 2 or 3 racks if you want to add pressure on the third, hopefully get it cancel out at about 4:30, so you can be there at about 6 minutes. Maybe that's a little bit too early. Maybe about 5 minutes. Drop those racks down.
The bunker on this map could be put up front in this little choke. You only need to put it in that spot on maps where the choke point is not near your expansion. But on this map, you can put it in front. This looks to be the Cloak Banshee build again. So there's 3 ways you can do this. You can go 1 Rax FE into 2 CCs, and then go double gas. You can go 1 Rax FE, double gas, and then expansion. Or you can go all the way up to a Cloak Banshee like our Terran player is doing, and then get your third. Either way, they're all super good builds, but obviously each one has a small advantage of its own.
Good defense there.
He's going to lose that supply depot. That is unfortunate. See, that's the thing you can do. If you had your bunker up front here, you would have been fine with that. It's a good thing to scout this Zerg third. Our Terran's player is doing a pretty good job of seeing what his Zerg opponent is going to be doing.
And since you only saw Zerglings, it's perfectly fine to move out with those Hellions.
Yeah.
Perfectly. As long as you micro learn and don't lose them. Especially since you have a bunker at home.
And good. Killed the Lings. Alright, so this is how you transition out of this build. You get 2 ebays on a third, but normally I would want to see the third first and then the 2 ebays, because at this point your third is going to be a little bit later than what Terrans have been doing in this TVZ right now. If you go third CC and then 2 eBays, you should be perfectly fine. So just small things like that.
Yeah, your 3cc should have been done about now.
Yeah, it should be already out there. I think that's the big thing in the early game of this is your third CC is just super, super, super late. Alright, and with this first little army that you have to trade it well. If you just toss it away and you don't kill anything, you just like kill it for lings, and if mass lings just kills your army, you're gonna be way behind, because your whole goal with this small ball that you have is to take map control and allow you to take your third. But if you lose it, as well as you don't have a third like right now in your base, you're gonna be pretty fucked. Alright, so now the third's going down, but this third is really, really late. Like, that's probably why you're gonna lose this game. This attack timing, I don't like at all, because by the time you hit his third, he's already going to have more than enough to smash you down. How TVZ is kind of going right now is if you don't do any damage in the early game, and this Terran did not, your mid-game attack probably isn't going to work, so you're better off sitting back and taking a third and trying to fight right before Hive, instead of pushing out on the map now where the Zerg could just kill your army.
So there's his third.
Yeah, third is really late at this point.
Yeah.
Our Terran player still has no idea what's going on in the Zerg base, so just you have to keep tabs on the Zerg. Find out what they're doing, what Hive tech they're going, because if you get caught off guard at Hive, you just die. So it looks like our Terran player is going a bio style. I favor the siege tanks more in this matchup because they help you deal with the mass Zerg ball, and bio is good if you have a lot of high APM. If you can go and you can kill a third while you go and kill the main as well, you can be in 2 areas at once. If you can control your army like pretty much a Korean Terran, but if you can't do that, it's going to be very hard, and our Terran forgot combat shield, so that is huge. Like, that's probably why he's going to lose this game. A late third and he forgot combat shield. Like, that is so huge. And that was actually a very good fight, but he forgot combat shield. Like, that is such a big deal that, like, you're probably going to lose just because of that one thing. Right.
Nice spread.
Yeah, that was a very, very good spread. Okay. But, I mean, if you look right now, the Zerg already has his Hive Tech out, and our Terran player has no idea, so if he's going to lose a game, it's going to be because of that. You need to find out what the Zerg player is going to do at Hive, because you need to have the perfect comp, and right now, he does not. He thinks, the Terran player, I think, he thinks that our Zerg player is going to go for a late game Hive army, but he doesn't have the right comp for it at all. No anti-air, pretty much, at this point. Good spread, but Brood Lords kind of kill everyone. Holy shit, the Terran player smashed that.
Yeah, luckily for a Terran, he doesn't. The Zerg player only has 3 Brood Lords, so.
Yeah. He actually didn't have his whole army packed in. I think if the Zerg had had his whole army there, he would have been fine.
Actually, really bad micro from the Zerg.
Yeah, this Zerg is not controlling his army too well. Oh, Baron's coming. At this point, the Zerg is too far behind to come back, but overall, small things you need to change. eBays go down after your third CC if you go this build, and you need to scout what the Zerg is going to do at Hive. Those are the 2 big things, obviously. And then you need combat shield as well. If you don't have combat shield, you're probably just gonna lose games. Yeah, at this point, no way Zerg can come back, I don't think. Oh my god, that's a lot. This is actually a pretty big army.
Yeah, maxed out. Yep, Zerg is dead.
Dude, wait, no,
Main
dude.
points I want to give to the Terran player, even though you won.
He's not, dude, wait. You spoke too soon.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Zerg, wow, Zerg may actually win this. This shows that you can be way ahead, but if you don't scout his late game hive army, you just die. Wow, I can't believe this is gonna happen. That's so many broodlords. That is so many broodlords. Right, no way. Wow,
What Swarm?
the swarm is strong, man.
Swarm is strong with this one. Yep.
Don't scout and you don't have the perfect comp, you're gonna lose. So that just shows that right there. Like, he was way ahead. The Zerg should have been dead, but man, late game Zerg armies are strong. Wow, I thought Zerg was so dead. At this point, you now know what the Zerg is doing, but you've taken so much damage and your army is already so small that it's going to be pretty hard to fight against it, as well as the fact that you've let Zerg expand everywhere now, so he's got a 5th base, he's got a 4th base, and yeah, so that just shows if you don't scout and you don't have the perfect comp to fight Zerg in the late game, you're just going to lose. Bobo, do you have any last words on that game?
I think basically is you want to work on your third on your timing for your third. It's one of the main things I want to notice. I noticed from you, and also be careful with this high tech transition. Like Mark said, you need to always be wary if he's gonna go for Broodlord or for Ultralisk. And if he's gonna go for Ultralisk, you need Vikings out. You really do. And since he's also going Broodlord, also utilize your drop. Your drop ships, they heal, which is like super cool. Like you have no idea how much I would want that as a Zerg player. They heal, so you can go around your base, or you can go around his bases and try and buy. If you need time, you could buy yourself time. If you want to get him out of position, you can get him out of position. Just because he's going Broodlord and Fester, and that's a really, really slow army, really immobile army. So definitely, just work on your third. Work on your macro. Let me see how many Gregs you have. You have 6 barracks. So yeah, definitely work on your macro. And your starport count was a little bit better this game, but need more barracks.
I 100% agree. Your third was a little bit late. It was more than a little bit late. It was way late. You forgot combat shield, so just make sure you're on top of that. If you don't have combat shield, you're gonna be pretty screwed. And it comes down to pulling the Zerg army out of where it needs to be. As Zerg gets higher up in tech, it's not as speedy. It can't be everywhere at once. So especially when they go up to Hive, you can kind of pull them apart, and that's how you fight a Hive army. Because if you just let them go all the way to Hive and you just fight them in a huge fight, you're probably going to lose. So make sure you scout the Hive, and then you should be fine. Alright, so why don't we load up Daybreak LE2. Another TVZ we got going here.
Loading up, loading up.
Alright, tell me when you're all set to go.
All right, I'm ready.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so we have our Terran player in the bottom left and our Zerg in the top right on Daybreak. Bobo, how do you think this map will affect this game in the aspects of TVZ?
TVZ. Well, especially given the fact that there's a lot of places for you to cheese. It's a really good map for you to cheese, just because you can hide your barracks, two racks anywhere, like so many places you can hide it. But apart from the cheese, the mid game is a little bit scary for a Zerg player, just because that third base, there's so much to cover, and especially your third base is relatively far away from your main. If he decides to split up his army with, example, let's say, one Banshee here and another Banshee there, group with Hellions. Um, it could really test the multitasking of a Zerg player. And also, if you notice at the natural of the Zerg player, his entrance is so wide, it's so huge, so you have a lot of area to cover if he decides to go for a mass Hellion play. So as a Zerg player, I highly recommend if you're Terran, the Hellion Banshee opener for this build is really solid, especially if you're looking for a build to give you a relatively safe third.
I 100% agree with all of that. On Daybreak, like he said, your third is a little bit off, so you probably don't want to go for that fast third off of one racks. You probably want to double gas and then take a third. And any kind of early attack is going to be pretty good on this map just because of how far away the third is. And it looks like our Terran player is going to do exactly that, so that's good. Both players seem to have their solid builds down, so should be good.
Scouting around, good. Good bunker placement, I like it.
Yep. You could actually put it back a little bit, because then if you put it far up like this, you can't put a wall in front of it. If you put it back over here, you can have a nice like wall in front of it. So then if you get any kind of all in, it might help you to survive. Oh, this is actually a lot of gas from our Zerg player.
Yeah, he
4
delayed his
gases
gas.
at the same time. That's really, really weird. So, Cloak Banshee build, fine.
So right now, as a Terran player, you want to scout that third, which I think you're gonna do right now. His usually Zerg players, I've been saying it this whole session, but his third will go down at about 6 minutes. And if you don't see it, like you just don't see it right now, play it safe. You don't have to do anything risky. The only thing that can kill you right now is a mistake from you, not from your opponent. So stay back, stay safe, drop a scan. Like right now is a perfect time to drop a scan just to know what he's doing. You have to think, okay, he has double evolution chambers. They're both upgrading because I can see them moving. But he doesn't have a third. Either he has a hidden third or he is teching really hard, and you want to know what he's teching into because you don't want to be caught off guard.
Exactly. You're playing the game without any information. You have no idea what kind of tech he's going to go. But, and another thing, you added on buildings. Like, you got all the right things, but you didn't get them in the right way. You want to go, after your Cloak Banshee, you want third, then E-Bays, then add on your barracks. I think you went barracks, E-Bays, and then third. So just make sure all Terrans take note of that you want to go after the Cloak Banshee, third, 2 E-Bays, and then your barracks.
Good micro.
Alright, so he...
Very nice job on... Yeah, you got a cancel on the third. That's beautiful. That's perfect.
This is huge for the Terran. Like, this Zerg's third is super late at this point. It's really, really late.
So you can actually... you have your third down already.
Yeah, his third's
oh my
already
goodness.
down. So he's actually way ahead at this point.
You are so far ahead right now.
But, I mean, had you gone in the right build order, had you gotten your third right after your Cloak Banshee, you probably... this game would be over almost. Like, that's how much ahead you were. But still, you're in a super great spot as a Terran, so as long as you don't do anything dumb, you should be fine to go and fight the Zerg late game.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up for a great late game. Just if you're in the point right now, if you're in the position, and say you wanted to go attack him. Let's say you go attack him right now, but you realize you can't kill him. Be on top of your upgrades.
Yeah.
Be on top of your upgrades. Be on top of your macro. Don't fall in your macro. Utilize the dropships like I've been saying earlier. That's one of the beautiful things about Terran is that you have dropships that can heal you. So nice wall off at your
Yeah,
third too.
I was about to say, this third thing is so great because that pretty much... the Zerg can't counterattack, and if you can just hold them off, that'd be great. Oh, but you do get attacked in the main. You hold, You should be fine there, though. A great thing to do at this point, if you know Zerg is right outside your base, is to go and hit his third or his main, just because his army is going to be in the wrong area, and you could do a lot.
Yeah, he just killed all his infestors. He's dead. Yeah. Okay. So you just noticed right now that you killed all of his infestors with your banshees. Go attack him.
Yeah.
You go attack him and you kill him right now because he does not. You just killed at least 1,000 gas worth of infestors.
All right. So I like what you're doing here. You're going to go and attack, and you're going to go and hit his main at the same time. So what you're doing here is great. So it looks like you're going to let these two things hit the main first, pull his army out of the way, and then go hit his third and his fourth. And that's always a good deal for Terrans. If you can pull the Zerg out of the way and let you siege up. Oh, but you're going to lose all your tanks. Oh my god. You can't let your tanks go like that. You have to have them in the center of your army. And that's so huge right there. Had you done that right, you probably should have gone to scout for his expansion over here too, instead of going to go for this third. If you hit the main and you kill the expansion over here, you should be way ahead of the Zerg.
Yeah, and another thing too is as a Terran player and as a Protoss player, if you're gonna get on Zerg creep, you better be damn careful if you do.
Yeah.
You lost your entire. He lost his entire army because you were on this creep.
Exactly.
So always kill creep before you move forward. Play it safe. Don't take risks. Like I said earlier, the only way that you're gonna lose it is if you make a mistake, not your opponent, and you made a mistake.
And no idea, the Zerg player, or rather the Terran player, has no idea what the hive tech is going to be, so again, you need to be on top of that, because you need the perfect comp to hold that. Oh, and he's going to lose these dropships. Oh, brutal. But still, even at this point, even after getting owned in that attack, you're still way ahead of the Zerg, so if you have a good fight, you should win. But you can't walk onto creep and not siege. Oh my, that was painful. And then you still won that, but you almost lost your entire army there. Once your army sees creep, you need to siege up and slowly begin to siege onto the creep. And that would be a good time to go and kill his main or something, because if you just allow him to engage you unsieged on his side of the map, you're just gonna get rolled.
Yeah. So you did pretty good damage. I wouldn't say that you didn't do much. You took out his economy at his third. He doesn't really have anything going at his fourth. You're almost maxed out already, so you're pretty far ahead. But just because I'm gonna say you're gonna win this game, but I mean,
you just lost.
Look what happened the last game.
Yeah, we thought the Terran was gonna win that one.
But
he should be fine though. Like he really. Oh my god. Oh, that is the biggest fungal I've ever seen in my life. Oh wow, that was a huge fungal. You need to have your army already cut in half and not in a big ball, and you need to be sieged up. Infestors can't hurt you if you have tanks already sieged. So you can't unsiege all your tanks at once. You have to slowly tank crawl up, and I think that may cost you that game because you just lost your entire army. That was huge. Wow, that was a big fungal. That was a huge fungal. But even still, I think you should be fine unless you do that again. Oh, another big fungal. You have to be sieged up, and you have to be in your tanks, like, in the area of which your tanks can shoot. So at this point, yeah, I think Terran's gonna win this. If he doesn't win, I don't know how he wouldn't. But in the future, make sure if you're gonna go and attack a Zerg, you slowly tank crawl. You don't unsiege all your tanks at once, and don't keep your huge army in one big ball, or else you're just gonna lose like that. Oh, whoops. Oh, that was a huge one. Okay, so that was a good game by our Terran player. The early lead you got by canceling his third and then taking your own third was so huge that even though you did a lot of mid game and late game things where you could have improved, you still won the game. In summary, don't unsiege all your tanks at once, or else you're just gonna die. Like in most games, you'll just get rolled. When you come on a Zerg creep, make sure you siege up and slowly tank crawl. That's pretty much the only way you can fight a Zerg like that. If you just unsiege all at once and move up and then unsiege and move up, you're gonna get hammered. And yeah, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, and make sure that your third is in order. You want to go Cloak Banshees and then third, 2 ebays, and then add on your barracks in that order.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Alright, so why don't we load up, keep going here. TVP versus Rockmar. So let's load that up.
Loading, hold on. Rockmar?
Yeah, versus Rockmar. Thank you everybody for tuning in to the first episode of this little show we're doing. Make sure to subscribe to the stream if you like it. Please like our team on FB, and that'd be awesome. Oh, whoops, we don't want to start now.
TVP versus Rockmar? More.
Yeah. That's the one. Alright, just tell me when you're set. Ascending the ranks. I know I was going to call it Smart Saturdays, but then turns out I don't think of names very well. So the new name is definitely very good in comparison to what I had. So in the future, Ascending the Ranks is going to be the name for this show.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, so let's start in 3, 2, 1 on ×2.
Brosathon, alright.
Brosathon is actually in chat right now, so pay attention.
Alright, so who are we helping here?
The
Brosathon?
Yeah, the Terran player. Alright. Oh, I hate this map. I don't even play this. I do not like this map. Alright, so TVP. Super standard stuff so far, nothing too crazy.
Dun, 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 dun. As we wait for the game to begin, just scouting normal things. Now, one thing I want to mention to you guys is always be wary of the, or always take a note, I mean, of the formation of the map. Like, look at the position between Brosathon here and Rockmar. Brosathon is in beautiful position to drop because he literally is just right across from his opponent. Likewise, though, his opponent is also very easy for him to drop inside of his opponent's base. So little subtle, I can't say that word.
No worries.
Little things like that are definitely really great, especially if you want to get better and abuse the map.
On this map as well, if you see in the third, there's this little area you can go and put your army behind. So, not in TVP, but in TVZ, if you had any siege tanks, you could go behind here and siege up. So just small things about the map that Terran players, and I think Terran, that's the one thing that if you play Terran, that's a very good thing for you, is maps can be used by you and really change how you play the game. Whereas like Zerg isn't going to do anything back here, like not much Zerg can do from back here, but Terran can. So use the map to your advantage. This is a little bit, actually no, I think this is the bomber style TVP, so pretty normal.
Alright, so what does it mean if a Terran goes one gas like our friend here?
This is the bomber style TVP. You go up to 5 racks off of 2 bases, and you kind of do a mid-game push to try to kill the toss third while taking out a third of your own. Super common right now, the go-to build for Terrans in TVP. I would like our Terran player to scan a little bit more. This is a weird build by our toss, and if you see him go for a forge and a fast Twilight Council, you know that you can do some early damage. So don't be afraid to push out in the early game. Make sure to get your +1 upgrade. Okay, yeah, he just got his +1 upgrades. Make sure that you get those in time for your 10-minute push. When Protosses go for a high-tech build like this, and their army isn't very big, I know the bomber build says to not go out and attack until you get your 5 Raxus up, but because they cut their army so much, you can actually do a lot in the early game.
Yeah, this is a really greedy build from
Yeah.
the Terran or from the
This is
Protoss.
a really,
It's
really...
because he was on two gateways until 9 minutes,
Yeah, pretty much.
and there's no way he could have enough army to be able to stop a 3 Rax attack. But that's more of something that the higher players can abuse
Yeah.
because they don't know that kind of things. If you're in the lower leagues, I wouldn't recommend taking a risk like that. Maybe just because you don't have the game knowledge yet or the experience yet. Not to take anything away, but if you want to get better in the lower leagues, the main thing you want to practice is your mechanics and your understanding of the game. That's pretty much all, and everything else will come with it as the more you practice and the more you play games. That's pretty
yeah.
much how you improve at this game.
Is there a third going down? Because if not, this third is super late. Third's going down, but you added on starports, armies, and whatnot. Your timing has already passed, so there's no, like, you shouldn't try to attack now. You're kind of at a super weird attack timing, and I don't think, or Protoss is just not going to pull his probes, and yeah, you're going to kill. Okay, so that drop is good, but in general, that's kind of past your attack timing. You either go with your whole army, or you don't want to cut your army up at that point. Also, you took your 3rd and 4th gas super early. There's no need to get gas that early as a Terran. You want to take your 3rd gas when you get your eBay done, and then you take your 4th after your 3rd. So overall, 3rd's a little bit late too. And I love the fact that you're not going to get supply blocked, but you're overdoing it. Like, you were at 90 supply and had like 160 like supply that you could use. That's just way too much. You're spending money in supply that you could use in army and things like that. So I understand the fear of not wanting to get supply block, but don't take it too overboard. Also, your 2-1 upgrade is super late as well. At this point, you should already be 2-2. Good kill here. Oh, kill the High Tempo Archives. Excellent. Alright, well done. But at this point, you don't need to keep... Oh, I guess you can keep fighting. Once you kill whatever you've been trying to kill, it's pretty good to just turn around and go home at that point. And target down pylons as well. This drop is actually going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But then...
And this is a really good example of what can happen if you split up your opponent's army.
Oh, so
Attacking
many
in
High
one
Templars.
area.
So many. You did kill a lot, but I'm not sure if you're going to be able to survive this counterattack. It's a lot of High Templars. You also forgot Combat Shield. I don't know what it is now with the Terrans today, but Terrans have been forgetting Combat Shield. You cannot forget Combat Shield, so make sure you're on top of that as well. You should have already had a 4th CC. So even though you lost your 3rd, you could have taken it again. And right there was no need to attack. You know you had already done a lot. He had a lot of Psionic Storms. So even though you won, you could have just sat back and you would have been fine. That's a lot of Zealots. Holy cow.
Oh gosh.
Wow, charge loss. Oh my. Holy. Alright, so at this point he's 2-1, so your upgrades are actually pretty good. You're 2-1 as well. In comparison to him, you're doing pretty well, but at 20 you should already be with the full upgrades at this point. And I think it came down to the fact that you engaged him right down your ramp, and he had a lot of Psionic Storm. And though you did kill a lot up here, that's all in his main base, but you didn't kill his 3rd, and that's what you really want to go for. And I understand that the map allows you to go into his main, but you really want to hit his third because if you can kill that third and then hold off and save your third even, then you should win the game.
Yeah, and another thing too, I think the main thing that killed you this game or that made you lose the game was your delayed third. Because even though he took so many shortcuts, he got his tech up quickly. He researched Storm. He had his forge going. Even though he got all that going, he still got his third up faster than you did. So you want to be wary of that third, and always Alterans, don't be afraid to scan, guys.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I know you like your mules, and it's 300 minerals
We
for
love
every
our
mule that you
mules.
drop, but a scan will be the difference between a win and a loss.
Exactly.
So don't be afraid to scan. And I think the main thing I've been noticing this entire, what is it, like I think an hour and a half we have going, is you guys need to work on your timing of your third.
Yeah.
The third base
So
basically
huge.
sets you up for the late game. If your third base is late, then everything after the third base, which is either your hive tech or your upgrades or your mothership or whatever it is that you're going for, it's all gonna be late. And if you're late on any of that, your opponent could hit a timing that can absolutely kill you.
Mhm.
Trust me, I've lost to it before, and it's the most frustrating loss you can ever have.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely the huge deal there was your upgrades were super late. Like you were 20, like it was a long game, went in a late game and you were 2-1. You need to already have been ahead in your upgrades, and like he was saying, your third timing. Third timing is really late and kind of off. So make sure you get that down, because if it's super late like that and you let it toss tech and take a fast third, you're probably gonna die. All right, so why don't we do TVZ, the TVZ game?
Versus ROMs?
So load that up. Antigua, though. So Antigua's a very, very Terran favored map. It's the most Terran favored map right now that we have. So
Yeah, that map is fucked.
I love Antigua. Antigua's awesome.
Alright, I'm ready.
All right, so we are helping the Terran player, same Terran player from the last game. I guess he's got 2 accounts. So Chuck
Okay.
Testa versus the Zerg player. All right, so why don't we start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so Antigua Shipyard, your main goal is to take control of this center Zelnaga. If you can set up a nice siege tank line here, so I guess if your opponent's here, you want to kind of be in this area. If you can set up like that, or even like a crossover here, but towards this center spot, he can't take a 4th base. There is no way he can safely have a 4th base. If you have a tank line here, you go and kill this thing over here. How can he ever save that? So that's why this map is so Terran favored, because Zerg needs a 4th base, and it's super hard to get one on this map.
And I want to note something. There's a question in chat about how late is late
Okay.
regarding your third. For a Terran player, late is late when you take right after you have like 3 or 4 racks, and you decide to get 2 engineering bays and an armory and then the factory and then getting a third. That's considered late. It's not so much the timing of it, because there are things in the early game, like let's say he goes for a Baneling bust. I mean, obviously your third base is going to be really late.
Yeah, of course.
It all depends on the sequence of your buildings.
Exactly.
You go, maybe Mark knows it better than I do because I'm not a Terran player, but from what I know is you go for, depends on the build that you're going, but if you're going for that bomber build, you go for the 3 racks and then factory into starport, right? And then a third CC.
No, so what you do is you go up to actually 5 barracks and then a 3rd CC. But the only thing he didn't do right in that game is he took a lot of early gas, and then he got his fast upgrades. He got like an eBay and an armory, added on like 2 more barracks, and then took a 3rd. So like you said, like all the things you said was completely right. And well, I don't know why he just canceled his expo, but
Yeah, that was
a
a
really
mistake.
bad. I don't know why you would do that. That was a big mistake. But on the timings of thirds in TVZ, you usually want it at the latest after your cloak banshees in TVP after your fourth and fifth barracks is when you want a third.
And in TVZ is you get your you're making banshees and you just get your tech lab on your barracks and you make your third
Yeah,
CC.
exactly.
I know your second CC just finished, but because you canceled it on accident, I'm assuming.
This build was a little weird. You want to go a 1-max FE first, and then the double gas. Double gas first. Your expansion is just going to be so late, and it allows you to get faster cloak banshees, but they really can't do that much damage in the early game. You more want to have them to gain map control. So your first expansion is super late, which means your third is probably going to be super late as well, and there was no need to do that. Like, he only had 2 lings, so that was the big thing in this game. So you're going to try to compensate, I think, by taking a third as well. And that's good, so you should be okay as long as you can take your third.
Banshee.
Did it die? Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry.
Yeah, the Banshee died.
Alright, the Banshee, you don't want to sack in the early game. You more just want to keep it for map control and do as much as you can without having it die. If it doesn't do anything, that's fine, but you don't want to try to kill it and then just have it killed, because that allows you to take map control. Like, he can't move out on the map. It's super hard. This is a big roach.
Alright, so I mean the game's gonna be over, but I wanna note something here, okay? You said that you don't want the Banshee to die,
Yeah.
right? And this is a good example of why you don't want it to die. He has a bunch of roaches moving into the middle of the map, and he's at your door, and you realize that you lose the game. If you had a Banshee out, or possibly 2 Banshees out, you could have been able to spot those roaches as they moved out and attack them. And another thing as well is if we go back to 6 minutes, I think. No, it's too early. I think it's 7 minutes. No, too early. 7, 8 minutes. Yeah, okay, like about 8 minutes, you move up his ramp and you see roaches. Okay, you move up his ramp and you see roaches. So what you need to take note here is that, okay, he's making roaches, so he's wasting his gas on the roaches and not on the lair. As a Zerg player, I'm gonna need 3 gases in order to be able to afford some roach production and get my lair up. So what you want to do is, once you either continue making banshees, or you switch that Banshee, or you switch that tech lab on that starport with your factory, and you start getting tanks out. It's one or the other. You can't survive without doing one or the other. And I think a really big fault here is a really big thing that went wrong for you is that you lost your Banshee at his main, which ended up taking away that ability to be able to spot any roaches and actually pick them off on their way to your base. Always be wary that if you go for this Hellion starport, like this, basically this TVZ 111, roaches are your worst enemy. They can kill you in the early game as you're making your third CC if you don't spot them and if you don't prepare correctly.
I know the build that the Terran player was trying to do. It's this mech style with 2 armories, but you're kind of doing it weird because you canceled your first expo. So how you do this build is you go a 1-max FE into Cloak Banshees, a third, and then double armories, but you constantly produce Cloak Banshees, because in the early game, that's going to have you survive. If you don't produce a lot of them and you just have them die, like that first one did over there, you're going to die to a small attack like this. Had you saved that first Cloak Banshee, by now you could probably have had 3 Cloak Banshees out already, and that would have been fine to hold this as well. Now you have a third up as well. You've had your expansion here for a while. So that's how you transition from the Cloak Banshee build into that mech play. So after you take your third 2 armories, and then you add on your like your siege tanks and like all those things, as well as the fact that you need a third and fourth gas. You can't go this build off of 2 gas. Once your third goes down, immediately take your third and fourth gas, because that's what, like, if you're gonna go mech, you need it as much as you can get it. So make sure you stay on top of that. And pretty much in the early game, to survive and go into the mid game with mech, you need Cloak Banshees. You need them. And you only had 1 at this point, and it died to kill nothing. So make sure you use your Cloak Banshees well and you save them, or else you might just die like this guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, beautifully said.
Thank you.
Let's go to the next game.
Alright, so we're going to do TVP versus Light Shadow. I'm glad you're enjoying the analysis, buddy. Thank you.
I like the title there, Bad Manner.
Yeah, Bad Mannerland. This isn't going to go well. I can see Sonic Storms killing everything in the future. Alright, tell me when you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so TVP. Even in TVP, this map is very Terran favored. Any kind of early game attack, a 1 gate FE into a 4 gate, and you hold it off as a Terran, you pretty much win the game just because the counterattack is just so powerful. So, use the map to your advantage as Terran. This is a very Terran favorite map, so just keep that in mind when you play on this map.
Yeah. And going back to the last game, TVZ, I'm not too sure about TVP, but in TVZ, the thing that makes this map a pain in the ass for a Zerg is that if a Terran player gets his third up, it's really hard for a Zerg player to get his fourth up, because a Zerg player always wants to be one base ahead of the Terran. That's the only way he can keep up economically. But the fourth base on this map is so ridiculously hard to take because it's so far away from everything. So remember, as a Terran player, if you're able to get your third base up, take control of the middle and you're in a beautiful position to take the game. Just don't make any mistakes.
I 100% agree with that. So TVP, this should be... Alright, I don't know what this...
Be right back, 1 second.
Okay. This TVP... Okay, so you're going to go 1 Rax FE. I prefer the 1 Rax FE where you don't take the second supply depot until after. So how you do that is you build 1 supply depot, you build out of your barracks, you take your second CC, and then you cut production out of your racks to build your second supply depot. It allows you to get it done a lot sooner. So that's good. And what you're doing here is perfect. You want your bunker before your second and third barracks because you won't die to anything dumb like early anything. Like if he chrono boost out a zealot, you won't die to that. So that's good. Alright, so you're doing the bomber build. Excellent. It's a great opening.
I'm back, by the way.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's the bomber race build again. And
like I said before, you want to scan with the first energy from your expansion, and that will be done around 5:45 if it's on time. I think you did, though. I think you did scan, right? Oh, no, you didn't. Okay, so this looks to be a 3-gate pressure. I think that's what it looks like, but apparently not. The Protoss just isn't going to move out with it. Alright. All is well here. The bomber build leaves room for a second bunker, but unless you scout and you see something weird or you're like, I'm not sure what he's doing, there's no need to have it there. So just small things you can cut around to save you some time. This stim is really late. I feel like you've had this tech lab for a long time and you've just started stim and combat shield. Your stim and combat shield and your +1 upgrade should be done by like 10 minutes. So with this stim is really, really late. So that's an issue.
And one small change you can do is only have one SCV making supply depots. Don't have two.
Yeah, you seem to be doing that same thing again where, look, you're at 68 supply, but you have 110. Like, you're not going to get supply block, but you're spending a lot of, like, of what you could be, like, you could have a third, you could have your barracks is up sooner, but instead you have a lot of supply.
It's just not bad. I mean, I like that.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird for a Terran. Your third...
You're taking it to the next level.
Yeah, your third was a good time. Your fourth gas shouldn't be taken until after your third, so just be aware of that. Everything seems to be a little bit slow this game. Stim combat seems to be a little slow. Your upgrades are a little bit off, I think, so make sure you just tighten up on the build. And I think a lot of your problems can be down to the fact that you build so many supply depots in the early game that your build is a little bit slow. So don't do that anymore. All right, thirds.
Just one SCV.
Yeah, just one SCV for now. There will be a point when you have to build two, but at this point, not really.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so this push should hit at like 10:30, like 10:45. But instead, it's going now at almost 12. You know, at like 12ish. So that's just because your bill's just so late because of your mass supply depot. Like you're at 110 supply and you're at 200 like max supply. That's huge. Like you don't need to do that at all. All right, so I like your drop, but oh, pylons. You want to hunt for pylons. You seem to be targeting down really weird stuff. Like you kind of tried to kill this forage. You want to kill pylons when you drop. All right, third's up, so that's good. Overall,
Yeah.
I think you're playing a little bit blind. Your drop was the only scouting you had done. I think for like the whole early game, as well as you don't know when he took your third, when he took his third rather. If you have an SCV here or something, you can tell what he's doing. Because if he doesn't have a third and he has this huge army, you can tell you're about to be all in. Whereas if he has a third, you're like, okay, that's fine. He expanded. I should be all right. And you're actually way ahead in supply as well, so that's good.
Yeah, you're in great position. You're playing this really well. Just little subtle things like that factory and floating in the middle of that could be used for scouting.
Yeah. Your upgrades are a little bit off too. You're not getting your 2 armor upgrades. You did cancel this, so this is huge. I'm not sure how you lose
nice.
this game. I'm like, from my point of view, you look way ahead.
When you get far ahead like this for any player, for any of you guys, when you get this far ahead in the game,
Ow! Oh, that hurt my
Don't-
soul. That hurt.
don't. Yeah, mistakes like that will make you. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh man.
Mistakes like that will make you lose the game. So
And with Protoss, you need to really use your advantage well. So what I mean by that is you may have a lead, and you did have a big lead, and you still do, but that doesn't mean you can just kill him. What that means is you have more room to expand and all those things. So at this point, you probably should have taken like another expansion and done all those things like that. Also, like you start to BM, and it's kind of like a bad attitude to have, especially in the fact that you're not that far behind in this game. All right, good. You killed Colossus. You killed Pylon. So this drop did a lot of damage. Killed a lot of SCVs as well, or not SCVs, a lot of probes. His SCV or his probe count is super low, and yours is really high. So that's good. So as this game keeps going, you're gonna get way ahead.
as long as you trade efficiently.
Yeah.
As long as you
I
trade
mean, your
efficiently.
army supply is way bigger than his, and as long as you don't need any huge psionic storms, you should be fine. But I have a feeling that that is how you lose this game. All right, great drop here. Killed this third. Now you need to just turn around and go home. Go home. All right, perfect. No, go home. All right, that's a big thing where like, okay, you did your damage. You killed the third. There's no reason why you should keep going. You killed the third for free. That is so huge. You just pick up and you go home, and this game pretty much ends. But even still, like even though you lost that, you did kill the third. You have a good army. You don't have any ghosts. You've gone like mass MMM, but you don't have any ghosts. So he's got Archons, Storm, and whatnot, and you don't have any ghosts. And Zealot, oh god, you're just eating so many storms. Oh yeah, that's why you lost this game. You just ate the huge storms. You were way ahead, but you just ate all those sonic storms, and once that happens, it's pretty done. Your army comp is a little weird. You're going like mass and marauder, and I get that you don't want to die to storm, but they don't actually do a lot of DPS per cost. Oh, nice, you killed an Archon. But I have a feeling you're going to die to Psionic Storm again. At this point, it's 24 minutes. You should have a fourth. I think you were... Yeah, there's your fourth. Okay, good. Upgrades. You don't have your third armor upgrade. That's huge. You're actually ahead in upgrades for some unknown reason. At this point, you still have this game in the bag, I think. You have a fourth that is a gold, dropping all these mules. So if these can mine for a little bit here, should be all set. And I mean, if you have a base here, one, you should PF this base. It shouldn't be an orbital. And you should have your army out here in the middle of the map. Like, you just let your base get killed and you were in your, like, expansion. You should definitely have your army in a better spot. At this point, though, as long as you don't eat any storms, you should be fine. Like, I don't know why you're trying to go and kill a third. Like, you could just fight this army
man.
and you would be fine. That's a pretty big issue right there. Like, yes, you can kill a third, but you're probably going to lose to this counterattack. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, I get the need to kill a third, but you probably could have just fought there and won. He was 2-2, I think, at the time. And then you were already, you know, way ahead in upgrades. You had a fourth. I think if you had your army here, you already had a fourth base of the PF. You could have fought right here, right next to a PF. You probably would have won this game. You would have been fine. I like the fact that you're going out with trying to harass and stuff, but don't just drop to drop. Drop with the purpose. Try to pull his army out of the way and things like that. Pull him back, which is, I guess, what you're doing, so that's good. Oh, feedbacks. If you're going to drop, what you do, you get rid of your medevac energy first, and then you drop. Because if not, you're just going to get... You're going to just get killed by High Templars, pretty much. At this point, you're pretty dead, because... I mean, your third's about to mine out. You're already mined out over here. And you don't have any ghosts. Oh, my. Yeah, and you eat pretty big storms, too. You don't need to target down the HTs, and it seems like that's what you're doing. You would rather dodge the psionic storms than try to kill the High Templars.
Yeah. You just didn't build any ghosts, man.
Yeah, you spent all your gas without any ghosts. So I mean, late game you have to have them. Like you must. All right, not quick match. Whoops. All right, we're almost done here. So there's 2 more games. TVP versus OPX or OPSX Mars is what we're gonna do. A move tactics.
Oh.
A move tactics.
TVP?
Yeah, TVP. Alright, cool. So, oops, don't want to start yet. Alright, tell me when you're all set to go.
Down. Alright, I'm ready.
Alright, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go! Another TVP. And this is the same guy as last time, and I have a feeling you're going to lose in the exact same way. Psionic Storm business. If you're having trouble engaging a toss, go into the unit creator and you can just build these like Terran and Toss armies and just constantly go over them and just try to fight them, because that's how you need to win those games. If you don't practice with that, you're going to lose. At least in the late game. Thank you, Killer Bunnies, for the link to our FB page. While this game gets started, if you guys like the stream, please subscribe. That'd be awesome. And follow the team that me and Bobo are on, RDG. The link is in chat already, so if you guys could do that, that'd be awesome. Alright.
Yep.
Both players, super standard. That's good. Nothing too weird.
We have CC going down, 1 rack CC. Standard.
Like I said before, I favor going CC before second supply depot, but if you don't want to, that's fine. Not a big deal. Bunker up already, that's perfect. Oh, this is annoying. This is so annoying. I hate when they do this. Okay, good. You handled it fine. Your tech lab should be up now. You forgot to put guys in gas, and I think your gas is a little late. Just because if you don't like build a tech lab, you don't begin to get like your upgrades. You're gonna be super late. eBay is going down, so that's good. We already talked about your 2 supply depot thing. Don't do that, and I think you know that by now. Your third gas should also go down right about now. 7:30 is a pretty good time for a third gas. Your stim is really late again, so make sure you tighten up your build and things like that. And let me see if you know anything about our Protoss opponent. Yeah, you're playing without any information again. If you look at what you see, it's not a lot, so make sure you stay on top of that. Right. If you had scanned your TOS opponent, you wouldn't know what kind of build he was going. He's probably going High Templars, and which means your 10-minute push, which is when it's supposed to hit, and you're not even close with that. So make sure whatever build you're doing and however you're doing it, you're a little bit off. You should hit him like right in like 10:30. You should be trying to kill him. And with this army, without charge, like if you hit right now, he didn't have charge, you would have just killed his whole army at this point. Also, have an SCV or something down by his third, because you need to know when he takes it, so you know what, is this a 2 base all in or what? So make sure you're on top of that as well.
Yeah, and that goes for everybody. Always be wary of when your opponent takes a third. Third base is super important. Except PvP, I don't think it's too important in PvP, but
PvP should be fine.
Yep.
It's all good.
And even if you don't want to drop a scan, at least send an SCV to his ramp.
Yeah.
And try and take note of his unit composition. I mean, if you see a lot of Zealots like you do now, it only makes sense that he's going to get charged Zealot. And the only liable unit composition is Zealot Archon with Storm. Because where's all that other gas going to go to?
Oh, I don't know why. Oh, because you're trying to drop. You seem to be doing this a lot where you like poke out with an army to drop and you just send them in. He already knew what was coming, so you need to pay attention. You can't just send it in and assume he's not going to have anything there. So you're now way behind because you try to attack 2 places at once. And I get what you're trying to do, and you need to send them in not at the same time. If they hit at the same time, they don't really do anything. You need to send one in first and then the other. And I like the mass barracks or whatever. You don't stim.
Or go ahead.
Yeah. You didn't stim in that first fight. I don't know what was that. Good kiting, though. Good. That was good. You saw High Templars, and you don't immediately make any ghosts. And I know they're kind of hard to control and whatnot, especially if you're of the lower leagues, but you need ghosts. If you see an Archon, if you see Mass Zealot, you just immediately make ghosts, or else you're just going to lose, because, like, High Templars and Archons are so powerful, and if you don't EMP them, you're just going to die.
Yeah, exactly. And think of it this way: if you saw Colossus, you make Vikings, right?
Exactly.
That's the same thing with High Templars. If you see High Templars, you make Ghosts.
Immediately,
try and fight a Protoss army without Vikings, and they have 4 Colossus. It's not gonna be pretty, right? You need Ghosts.
You scanned at like 12 right here, and you saw 1 Archon. Immediately at that point, you should have already had a Ghost Academy on its way. You're also behind in upgrades. You have enough to get both the +3 and +2 armor, but you don't. So make sure, that seems to be a small thing that you have an issue with. Make sure you stay on top of your upgrades. And make ghosts, because you cannot play TVP without them. You cannot. Also, it's 18 minutes. You need a 4th base. I like that you've sent an SCVE out to scout for his any expansions he might have taken, but you need to take a 4th base of your own, and you finally are doing that, so that's good. Right, but you're just so far behind from that very first attack at like 12 when you tried to go up his ramp and into his main that you may think it's like, oh, he just A moved in the late game, but it's just because you were so far behind in the early game that you couldn't win this. And this guy's engagements are actually really bad. Like he should have just hammered you, but you're just like smashing this. Or target down Archons too. Target down Archons. Target down Archons. Okay, good. In a fight, target them down immediately because they do so much. Alright, so your fourth.
That was a huge mistake from him.
Yeah, that was a really bad engage.
From the Protoss.
If you look at this map, you can definitely go over here, and I think that's what you're. No, it's an SCV. You could drop over here to his fourth because they're just so far apart that you could really pull his army out of where it needs to be. You're scouting here. This is good. I love the fact that you're trying to scout for all his expansions, so you could have killed this one as well. He's going Colossus, and you need to check the late game tech switch, or you're just gonna die. And I think that's what happens. Or maybe you hold on. Yeah, but eventually you need to check for that. If you don't, like all of a sudden you won't have the right comp that you need. Alright, good drop here. Don't bring Ghost to if you're gonna go and kill an expansion. You need those in your main army. You don't want to have them outside of it. Alright. At this point, your fourth is getting up, so that's good. But he's already had a fourth base for a while now. He's already mined a lot of gas from it. And you still haven't been able to overcome the damage that you took in the early game. Oh my god, and you're still 2-1 as well, so that's a huge deal.
Yeah. That could actually lose you the
Okay,
game.
I'm pretty sure that's why he loses this game.
Yeah, like if your army is not cost efficient with his, it's
I mean, he is...
nice EMPs.
He's 2-2, but you should be already maxed out on upgrades. And if you were, you could probably kill this army. Oh my god, he's going to sacrifice... Oh, never mind. I thought he was going to sack his whole tech. Yeah, at this point, there's not much you can do to beat this army. It's like the perfect Protoss death ball. You don't have the right comp, and your economy... you have a lot in the bank, though, so you need more barracks. Like, right now, how many barracks do you have? You had, like, 4 here before they killed, so 4 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you had 10 barracks off of 4 bases. You should have had, like, 16, at least. So make sure to stay on top of that, because if not, you can't spend your money if you don't have enough things to build out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at this point, there's nothing you can really do. You're just so far behind. Good kiting, good control, but yeah, this game's over. Oh, here comes the BM. Lay it down. Alright. So, that's a good exit. You gotta leave with some BM. Let me see. Okay. So we're on to the last game. Ohana LE 74. A TVP again. So, guys, this is the last game for today's show.
Alright. And alright, so while this game loads up and stuff, well, I'm already loaded up, are you?
Yeah, I'm done.
Alright, so 3, 2, 1, go.
Cool.
So this game got started. Brosathon, the main things I would have you work on to get better is don't have 2 SCVs building in the early
Yeah.
game, just 1 building at supply depots. 2, work on the timing of your 3rd. 3, make sure that all of your other timings are good, like your stim timing, the production wise. I'm not sure what other timings are. You mentioned a couple. And 4th, don't fall behind on upgrades like you did on that game. And I've seen it. I think it was the first game you showed us too. you kind of fell behind on your upgrades. Your macro is good. I'm not sure what league you're in, but your macro seems about your mid game macro seems about like masterish. It's a really good macro. Your minerals are below 1,000. I think what where you fall behind in is when it comes to the mid game, when you start, or I mean to the late game, when you just don't have the right unit composition, especially when he goes high Templars. You need ghosts and the timing of your fourth. Just remember that most of those games that you showed up, so you're pretty far ahead. It's just mistakes and unit composition was what lost you the game.
I agree 100% there. Your timing in the early games are they're really weird. So whatever build you're doing, the bomber build, I would find a game of someone doing that build of a high pro caliber player and see how his timings go, so you can compare and see what he's going to do and what you're not doing, just so you can sort out, all your early game timing issues. And the main thing, you forgot your +3 armor, your +3 attack, and your +2 armor. So make sure you stay on top of the upgrades. And your little 12-minute timing attack where you like drop into the main and then you attack the front might work in the lower leagues, but it's not going to work against people who actually know what they're doing.
Okay,
Yeah,
this
this
game.
game, what the... This opening is like really cool for... I wouldn't do it on ladder. I'd do it in like a tournament just to catch someone off guard. Our teammate, Agna, he loves this opening in TVP, but like what just happened, you're prone to an early attack, so make sure you have a bunker there. And this can work. It is a weird build, not very common, but it needs to go like he needs to have no idea that it's on its way. But with an observer already out, he's already got a forge. I think he knows what's going on. Yeah, he does. So it's not going to work. I would find a more common build to do, like the bomber build. The third CC is great and all, but it's so early that you're not going to have an army. Like, you have nothing right now. Alright, so yeah.
So if you take that third CC early, don't try and do anything. Don't try and be aggressive.
Yeah. You have an observer.
Just play it safe.
He's already he knows exactly what you're doing, so that's kind of sucks. But it's pretty weird.
Good harass there. So you know he has an observer out. I'm not sure if you didn't research cloak, which is good.
Yeah.
So just be as annoying as you can with that banshee. Harass anything that you can harass, and try and delay that third as much as you can.
Oh, huge number of gateways going up in the main. I'm not sure if you scouted it. Let me see. Yeah, no, you have no idea what's going on over here. So make sure you scan. That seems to be a common theme for all the people who sent in their games today. You need to scan. You need to have an idea of what your opponent's doing, and you need to know when he takes his third. And that applies for all TVT, TVP, and TVZ. You need to know when he takes his third and what he's going to do in the mid game.
And also take control of the watchtowers too. You're not taking control of them at all.
Yeah, if anything, you should have the tower on your side of the map. I mean, there's no, like, you shouldn't allow him to know exactly where you are.
And remember, guys, when you're practicing on your own and you don't have us to analyze your games, you can always do this on your own.
Yeah.
If you die to a timing attack and you realize that you've died to it a few times, go back to the replay and look at the timing behind it. Say, oh, it hits at 7 minutes. Okay, so I need to be ready by about 6:30. So when's a good time to scan? Maybe about 6 minutes. So I have about a minute to prepare. Things like that. You can do them on your own. Simple math. I imagine all of you guys know how to add, so you can do that kind of analysis on your own. Especially the timing attacks. Timing attacks, those are the easiest things to fix.
Alright, so everything's going pretty okay. You're solid on your upgrades, which is great. You've already got a Ghost Academy. That's excellent. Second factory already up, just in case he goes a late game tech switch, so that's good. You love to not have combat shield. This is like our second game that we had of your third game, and you don't have combat shield again. It's a pretty good upgrade, so you might want to have it.
You don't have concussive
Yeah, it
shell
doesn't have
either.
comp G. Yeah, so you got to make sure your bio armies have what they need, because if not, you're gonna be in trouble. Oh no, feedback. Oh, or not. Okay. Oh god, that's a big storm. Drops. You saw that your Banshee was held off pretty easily, and I'm not sure if you knew, but there was an observer in each spot. But even if you did, you knew that he already had his army in the right spot, so drop harass isn't gonna go too well. Yeah, so in certain games, like you always want to be able to harass your opponent, but there's just some games you're not going to be able to do it. So that's fine though. Don't try to do something that's just not possible. In this case, you can't drop him ever, so that's fine. Just turn around, go back, and expand behind it. Still no combat shield. At this point, you should have... Okay, good. You already have your expansion up, but you need to take a fourth expo. Don't turn it into an... Or you need to turn it into a PF. Ghost count's a little low for 5 in the late game. You probably want around 7 or 8. And yeah, you have a good comp though. You should be able to win this if you get good EMPs off.
Yeah.
Alright, good. So your hockeys are great. You've got your ghosts on one hockey, whole army on a separate hockey. Oh god. You need to send your ghosts out first ahead of your army. Like, oh my. You didn't move your army. Alright, so you did one part of the two-part, like two parts of how you engage a toss army. UEMP, that's the first part. Second part, you need a kite. You just A-moved, and you kind of just sat there, and you need to move the army back. It's actually more important to turn around than to EMP. Because...
I remember too. I don't know if you were looking at your army or if you
Yeah.
weren't. But if you have your army right outside of your opponent's space, you need to be looking at it constantly. You're in a really, really dangerous spot, so you can't expect to go back into your base and be macroing and doing whatever you have to do without noticing what your army is doing or what the Protoss army is doing. Because if he catches you off guard like he did there, you just notice that he could kill your entire army effectively. So remember, if your army is always in a risky position, don't forget about it.
Still no combat shield at this point. You have a lot of like expansions. Like you PF twice, but you don't have a fourth base. You have this just sitting here for the whole time, and you need to take a fourth base. He's taking a fourth, so you need to take a fourth and more. You have enough to do that, so you need to expand behind it. You can't go and fight late game without any expos. Like right now, I'm not sure why you don't have an expo. Alright, but you do have all your upgrades done except for combat shield and conch shell, so make sure you do that. I'm not sure if you scouted his late game tech switch, so make sure you do that so you can have the perfect comp, and it looks like you do, so that's good. You have a good comp, but your just economy is not as good as his, and it needs to be, or else you're just going to lose. You also have no idea where his army was, so what I want you to do in the future is just send one unit over here, send a unit over here, so then you can just tell on what side of the map he's on. Right? Those were very good snipes.
How? Poor ghost.
Oh god. Oh, okay. So you did snipe the High Templars, but your Vikings die really quickly. They got out, they were in the wrong area, and I don't think you had enough. And you need to upgrade. Oh, you did. Alright, so you did get the upgrades. But you need to kite them. You need... The Vikings have huge range. You can kite from, like, I think they have 9 range. So you just go in, kill one, and come back out. So you need to constantly be popping in, popping out, and killing his high amount of tech, because if not, you're just gonna die like you just did.
Yeah, so...
And also, you didn't have a combat shield.
Yep.
Alright, so guys, that is it for us today. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Ascending the Ranks. Like I said, it was called Smart Saturdays, but I think Ascending